Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead video here. So I wanted to talk about the whole Alicia thing here, because obviously that is something that a lot of people are just debating right now, right? Like, is Alicia going to be returning in the finale here? And so I wanted to do a video talking about this and sort of giving some final thoughts on this, unless we learn some other details here. I'll be doing other Fear the Walking Dead videos in terms of like death predictions and just how the story could end overall, but I really wanted to talk about this idea because the thing is, at this point now, Alicia does need to return. Like, they've been talking about her so much now that it really feels like she has to actually return at this point, because if she doesn't, people are going to be very, very upset. Like, I mean, very upset. I can just see people getting so upset online. So, with how much they've been sort of hyping this up right now, it kind of feels like that they have to go there. Like, they need to introduce the fact that she is alive, but that's another question I have, though. What if they actually introduce the fact that she's dead? Like, she is there, but it's not actually Alicia. It's a Walker Alicia kind of thing, right? Like, how would you feel about that? I want to talk about that in here. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get more Fear the Walking Dead content like this. We have one more week here to talk about the show, probably a little over a week, because I'll do some videos afterwards just talking about the successes of the show and the failures of the show, what I liked and this and that. And yeah, just kind of go through that before we like close the chapter on Fear the Walking Dead. Kind of exciting, like a show like this, to see the end of it, there's excitement to it, right? As much as we've sort of had issues with the show's story, it's kind of cool to see how it's going to end and just how everything plays out here, because I mean, it's an actual conclusion, right? So we're going to get answers on things. There's no more waiting for this to happen kind of thing, right? So, and also if you haven't followed me on Twitch yet, definitely go do so. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. I will be streaming The Walking Dead Destinies there this Friday, I believe. Yeah, it's this Friday. The game will be out on November 17th. I will be streaming it and we'll be playing it a lot. There's so much to do with this game, all the different stories and everything. So if you want to see me play this, definitely go follow me on Twitch. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. And yeah, I will see you guys there this Friday streaming some Walking Dead Destinies. But let's get into this here. So I guess the first thing that I do want to kind of get into here is I asked on Twitter or X, question, will Alicia show up in the 2-part finale of Fear the Walking Dead? And as of now anyways, 69.4% of people say yes, and then 30.6% say no. So most people, 2/3 of those who voted here, believe that Alicia is going to show up. And then I did a follow-up question, a second part to it, where I said, if she does show up, is she going to be dead or alive? And again, 2/3 of people say that she's going to be alive, and then there's a third of people who say that she's going to be dead. So it seems like overall, most fans believe that Alicia will show up in the finale and that she's going to actually be alive. And below that, people think that she's going to actually be alive, but then she might be dead, like as a walker. And then I guess the lowest result here is that she's not going to show up at all, kind of thing. And I think as of right now, where I stand, I do think we're going to see Alicia in some capacity. I just don't know what right now, because I want to say she's going to return. Like, I actually want to say that, yeah, she'll show up there, she'll be alive, and we'll get this Madison and Alicia reunion. But it's so hard to say with these showrunners, because there's not a lot of information that comes out. There's not a lot of stuff where you can sort of predict this thing to happen, because so much is just random. Like, these moments just kind of happen out of nowhere, and there has been a history of these things happening where like you're expecting this one thing to happen, but you're very disappointed because it doesn't happen at all. They've been teasing it and whatever, but they don't even go anywhere near it. So like, they could have been talking about Alicia this entire second half of season 8 just to honor the character, because she's not going to be here at all, right? Like, to make her a big part of the story in any way that they could, because she left the show. And that's my worry about it, is that's sort of what they're building up to overall, because I'm trying to think, if Alicia shows up, I don't think she's going to show up in episode 11. If she does, it'll be at the very end. And then maybe she makes a 1-episode appearance in episode 12, and we just kind of see how that story plays out with her and Madison and Troy and all of that. It's so hard to say, because I mean, filming that, like, how long would that take? Like, Alicia Denham Carey would have to have been there filming for like at least 2 to 3 weeks or something. Maybe if you're just filming your scenes, then it's like 1 to 2 weeks, right? Like, you just kind of film some stuff, then you're able to actually get that done. And that's very possible. Like, I could see them having done that and just having it make sense, kind of thing. But, I question some stuff as well, because I'm like, what if Alicia Denham Carey didn't want to come back because she was like, well, no, I'd rather have Alicia be in the spinoffs, just because I know on Twitter or X, like Jeffrey Dean Morgan mentioned that one thing where, like, after Alicia left Fear the Walking Dead, he was sort of saying like, congratulations, this and that. And if you ever want to join the show or join Dead City, like come join this show kind of thing, right? And she was just kind of like, oh, wow, thank you, this and that. I don't remember the exact like conversation that happened, but it happened on Twitter or X, right? So that right there got a lot of fans excited just at the idea of Alicia being in Dead City. Like that would be so cool to have her just in that story, to have her interacting with Maggie and Negan. Like that would just be so incredible, right? And so I'm just thinking like, if you're an actress and you love this character and she's a very popular character, do you want to just have her come back in one episode? And you know what I mean? But it's very possible that if she didn't come back, that maybe they're like, well, we're just going to kill her off then. Like she'll just be a walker kind of thing, right? And then so maybe she's like, well, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll just come back. She'll be alive kind of thing. And then this way the story ends with Madison and Alicia together. And then we can sort of go off and do a spinoff kind of thing, right? It's kind of hard to say because I'm trying to think of like the behind the scenes of wanting to bring her back and how you honor a lot of that. And I think that it just makes more sense to have her come back and then have her be alive. And, in terms of how it makes sense for the story, I guess that's what's so tricky with this, right? Because why isn't Alicia walking around trying to help people or do this or that? And that's the hardest thing to predict here. Like, the way everyone is making it seem is, Alicia is basically trapped somewhere, or she's a walker, or she's basically in a place where she's not moving around, right? Like Madison's trying to find her. Troy knows where Alicia is and this and that. And so they're really making it seem like Alicia is in one place and is not able to like move around or anything. So either she's a prisoner or she's a walker and she's dead kind of thing. And so I'm trying to think of a story that just makes sense there, right? And there is some stuff to it because obviously Troy did run into Alicia, right? Troy found the necklace. Troy also has Alicia's arm. So those aspects of the story are accurate and it's actually real. So Troy, like, he knows what happened to Alicia. He knows if Alicia is actually dead or alive, right? And so how does that, how does him knowing that make sense for, I guess, the overall story here in the second part here? Like, what is he trying to do with that information to sort of torment Madison? Because, like, you could say maybe he's trying to do something for Alicia because, he has her held captive somewhere, but it doesn't really seem like it. Like, it kind of seems like he ran into Alicia at some point. He has her arm and her, I guess, necklace or whatever, or I guess Tracy has it. And now he's trying to take over Padre. And that's basically it. Like, he's going to take over Padre and then just live there. And so wherever Alicia is, it doesn't really matter. Like, my guess is that he ran into Alicia, something happened there, and that was basically it. Like, he just got Alicia's arm and then the necklace, but Alicia actually escaped and she's out there somewhere. And so he's very frustrated with that overall because he never got to get his revenge on Alicia kind of thing. And so now he's, I guess, taking out his revenge or whatever on Madison. Like, that's my only guess. And so he's just kind of lying to Madison to torment her in any way possible, because otherwise it doesn't really make a lot of sense to just be going on and on about this. Like, why reveal something like that in that way? Like, just as a story, and as, just in a sense of just like respect for the character, just to literally have a throwaway line like, yeah, I killed Alicia. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just to kill her off screen. Like, that's why I don't believe it. Like, how could you kill Alicia off screen? It's kind of insane. Like, I really don't believe it. I think she is alive and she is out there. Troy obviously ran into her, so there's something there, but I think those answers are going to be coming here in episode 12. And I wonder if a shot like this of Madison, where she seems very stressed out and like, she's on the ground here, everyone's sort of like, turned against her, it seems like. Or at least it seems like Strand and Daniel and everyone else are kind of siding with Troy for some reason. But maybe just in this scene in general, she has learned of information that Alicia is still alive. And so that is something that we're going to see play out in the finale. But that's the thing too, is it's hard to predict where this is going to go, because they did say that the finale is a conclusion to the story. So like, I don't think we're going to get a story where we see Madison basically, like the Fear the Walking Dead ends, and it ends with Madison being like, I know where Alicia is, I'm going to go and find her kind of thing. And like, that's the story, right? I don't see it ending in that way. It could, but they said there would be a conclusion to it. And that's why I always bring up, what a lot of like Angela Kang and Scott Gimple, and I don't remember who else, but a lot of people talked about the ending to The Walking Dead. And I know a lot of people were concerned about the fact that, well, is it just going to serve as like a cliffhanger or like a spin-off setup sort of thing? And they said, no, there's going to be a conclusion to The Walking Dead. It's going to conclude everything, right? And that is true. It did conclude everything, but like Daryl's story ended in a way that was satisfying for the character, but obviously he went off and did other things like to go and find Rick and stuff like that. So that was his ending. So you could say that was like a conclusion to the character, but it was sort of in a way to, you know, I guess introduce the idea that he is still going to go look for Rick and all of that. And that's just how his story ends, is he's going to go find his family, right? He's going to go find his brother. And I like that idea, but could that be the same thing here for Fear the Walking Dead? Could Madison find out that Alicia is out there somewhere? And so literally the ending is, you know, maybe like she says her goodbyes to Strand, maybe Strand dies or Daniel dies. And so there's like crazy heartbreaking scenes, but maybe with the characters that do survive, like Strand or whoever, maybe they stay at Padre and then they keep Padre safe. You know, Strand stays there for Alicia, but Madison says her goodbyes and it's like a final goodbye, and she knows where Alicia is, and so she's going to leave and go and find her. She has Nick's ashes, and now she knows who she is, kind of thing, and she's going to go find her daughter, right? Like, it could end in that way where every other character besides Madison has an actual conclusion to the story, but for Madison, she's going to go off and try and find Alicia, kind of thing. And so that could set up her appearance in like Dead City and stuff. And I think some of that could make sense, because I think if any other Fear the Walking Dead character were to appear in any of the spinoffs, it's not going to be in The Ones Who Live. If The Ones Who Live get to season 2, like, we're going to have to wait until literally the show airs to even find out that type of information, because I know they're saying it's going to be just one season, but they're not really saying that either. They're saying it's a limited series of 6 episodes, but Loki literally got a season 2, right? That was a limited series, 6 episodes. They said it was a 6-episode limited series, and then all of a sudden it got renewed for season 2, and then it seems like now that's kind of the end. I think Loki is just going to end with season 2. So with The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, we could get a season 2 for that show that will come out in a couple of years from now, where that will feature more of all the reunions and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of why I think that's most likely what's going to happen here, because they're not saying it's like, no, that's it. It's only 6 episodes. We're not doing a season 2. Like, they've never ever been asked yet, and them saying no. Like, we've never gotten a question like that yet for this show, and I'm pretty confident in that. Like, I've followed this a lot. Most of any proof for it being, you know, just one season is they'll talk to the actors and then they'll be like, yeah, I'm doing a 6-episode miniseries or like a 6-episode limited series kind of thing. So there's like an acknowledgement of what it is, but like obviously a season 2 could still happen. They could still renew it, right? Because I remember like Entertainment Weekly, or I don't know who it was, but they posted something very recently where they actually mentioned at the very end, they've reached out to AMC and to sources and all of that, and basically it's sort of left in the unknown right now. Like, no one really knows. So that's kind of why I say we're going to have to wait and see. But anyways, sorry, I always have to explain myself with that, because if I don't explain why I say we'll have to wait and see if there's a season 2, is because people immediately say, no, they confirmed it's only going to be 6 episodes. I think that Alicia and Madison could be on Dead City. It could work. You know, maybe Madison appears later on. I think a lot of the Fear characters could be on that show, and then Dead City could be honestly a pretty big show, but we'll have to wait and see just, I guess, what happens here in the finale, and if there is sort of any setup towards that, right? And so I come back around to the original question. Does Alicia have to show up at this point? I think she does. I think she actually has to show up. I think if this show ends and she's not there, and it's just one of those things where, again, I guess that's kind of an interesting part to it. Like, how would you feel about that? Say Alicia doesn't show up, but there is confirmation that she's out there, and so Madison's story ends with her trying to find her, kind of thing, right? And maybe there's a hint that she's in New York. So there's excitement there because that she'll be in Dead City, kind of thing. Like, would that be a satisfying enough story? Or would you want there to be that sort of reunion for Fear the Walking Dead to close out that show? Because a part of me does want that as well, but I also would be excited for the spinoffs. And I think you could do both. You could have the reunion on the show and then still have those characters go on to like New York City, kind of thing, and do something else, right? Maybe they venture out in the world to sort of, you know, build a new life for themselves. I think that could be really cool. But I think at this point, though, we do need answers on what's happening with Alicia. We do need something in this finale here. And I think if they don't deliver on that, and it's just sort of left up in the air, like, I don't know what happened to her, this and that, I think people are going to be very upset about that. So I think we're going to get that. I'm definitely very excited. We have, 6 more days until this episode comes out. So I'm definitely very excited. So post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.